What to build now is a big question. Let's have a look on the milestones, because that's a strategic decision. Here we have one asking for heavy modular frames, and that's the one I had been building for last time who wants computers, which turned out to be quite a bummer because I don't have neither. So in tier 6 we have some vanilla milestones to do, and that one here would deliver me MK2 pipes. Yeah, computer, MK2 pipes, that sounds good. This one's computer, and yeah, and the mod ones, computer. So it's a 50-50 thingy, but I see a huge benefit in getting MK2 pipes. That is the one I want to go for. Yeah, really. Heavy modular frames for MK2 pipes. That is a milestone of choice. Now, I'm in phase 3. Let me show you some. Directly next to my hub, I placed a manufacturer on the free space, including the space on the road, because I'm not using the full road yet. It's not configured. And there I built Modular Engines, which is one of the 3 deliveries for the milestone. And the problem is, the items needed come from very different biomes. So motors as an example, you've seen it, I did build that one in the Dune Desert. Whereas rubber is coming from the Rocky Desert. And smart plating is coming here from the startup factory. So 3 different biomes. Connecting that would be a lot of effort, plus I would screw up the landscape, which may collide with future builds. So that's why I decided, no, I can't be bothered putting in so much effort now. I just set it up and that's it. I feed all the stuff directly from my dimensional depots. That means whenever I come by here from time to time, I throw in some more items and that's it. That works lovely. Okay, takes a bit of time, but okay. 25 out of 500, so it needs a bit more time, but I will do it. Here we are in the Dune Desert. And that's an interesting area, because here I have lots and heaps of space to build and many resources. I like it. So I'm at the eastern end of my current big beautiful belt. Let's have a look on the map. You see my icon standing there at the end of the road. And that is more or less a spot where I want to build my heavy modular frames. Because next to these beautiful cliffs, there are lots of resources. Look, let's look for iron. And ding ding, there are a few, and the nice one, there's a pure one too. So I definitely have enough iron here for my build. Even having in mind that I have only MK2 miners at the moment, that gives me quite a lot of resources. And the next important one is limestone, because I need some concrete for building all the necessary encased industrial beams. Yeah, it's all there. Very nice. And last but not least, I will need coal. Coal. Yep, and let's have a look. And there's also some nearby. So all the 3 important ones are very close nearby. Plus there's more coal around if I need more. Even on that side there's some pure. Lovely, that's yum. So there's heaps of stuff around. No, I prepped the platform. And the big decision here is, I want my big beautiful build going through the building. Not just on the side like in the motor factory, which you see there on the horizon. Now I want to go directly in the middle of it. Yay. Just because I can. And yeah, another decision. In the last playthroughs, I learned that 2 or 3 manufacturers for heavy modular frames is enough. I want to push it a bit further because it smells to me like my expansion mods need a bit. So I'm going for 5 manufacturers to build my heavy modular frames. And in the front you see already the stations for the tractors. One for unloading, one for loading. So I can mix in the production that I have and I can remove the overflow. Means on the right side I'm feeding heavy modular frames onto the line of my tractors. And whenever the tractors on the left are unloading, then I can remove that overflow, because otherwise the tractors would be full only with heavy modular frames. That's no good. There's one more thing. When I want to build stuff, I'm keen to have lots of power shards. For that I want to have production amplifier. Yep.
Production amplifier unlocked. Every single manufacturing and smelting building will be backwards compatible with this new technology.
And that is very handy for building a Multipy Station. Yeah, has an input, has an output. What do I use it for? One Summers loop is enough. So usually by default you would go, I reckon, for the crafting bench, and there you do your power shards. But if you are producing them here by throwing them into a constructor, then the Summers loop is duplicating the output. That means you get twice the amount of power shards out of it. The first one after a change recipe always has a normal output. So I'm expecting 5 to come out, which is a normal amount. No, takes a bit of time. Yep, come on, there we are. And because I took quite some time, I'm using those immediately to speed up my constructor. I'm sorry if you hear me coughing sometimes in between. My asthma normally killing me. Okay, and then I should get 92 out of these 10. Yeah, 5 for the first run. I used 3 already. That means we should end up with 92. There they go, 10 for the next patch. And the beautiful thing about this guy is you can use it for all kind of power slugs. And you can use it early on also for all the animals, that stuff which you wanna transform into DNA capsules, because by doing so you multiply twice, which means it's a very nice way early on with the animal leftovers to generate a lot of points on the Awesome Sync, so you get your special custom features from the Awesome Sync shop. I really like the animation. So with the fume coming out, there's pink fume, violet. Yeah. Nice. Keep in mind that always when you activate this multiplying, the very first one after a change receipt is having the normal amount, so we have 92, and very quickly with the yellow and with the blue slugs I'm now getting more than 300 out of it. Isn't that nice? And I can tell you it will become much more, because there are more nice ways to get more power slugs. I will tell you about that later on in another video. So let's go back to our build area. So the 5 manufacturers are connected to the truck stations, and I'm feeding them already with 2 things. Yeah, see, there comes in the iron. I need only that one. And now let's have a look in the background. There you see the coal. That turns out to be enough for these 5 manufacturers. That is enough coal to deal with it. More than enough. A little bit of balancing in between. Because these resource points are delivering different quantities. And I'm getting quite a bit of limestone here. Yeah, I needed to go for 2 of those to have enough limestone for the necessary concrete production. Since the dunes are going a bit downhill in direction of the cliffs, I was able to place 2 more levels below. The lowest level is now the concrete production, which is very handy. And that concrete production is then used for the encased industrial beams. And 1 above is my steel production. I'm not using any templates to place it all by hand. I like building by hand. I know, very inefficient, but it's fun. And I get my steel pipes. So the MK4 conveyors are able to deal with that kind of traffic. That's cool. But for other stuff, I may have to have different thoughts. That works all nicely. Coal, iron coming in. Getting my steel pipes. That's all fine, but now we need to think about some more stuff. Not just how to get it in the station. I need to check into the manufacturers. So we have to go for modular frames and screws. We did already steel pipes and encased industrial beams. But modular frames, they need screws, and it wants a huge amount of screws additional. Oh, this one is a big screw party. And when so many screws have to be delivered in time, I really can't do it in just one conveyor belt. There's absolutely no way. That's why I did set up my screw production in a more modular way. And having buffers in between is really important to ensure an even flow where the demand is. And you can see it's multiple lines, because if I would run this all on one line, the line would totally bottleneck. That's why multiple times a very similar setup. First getting the iron, then the iron rods, and then the screws. And each one has buffers in between, just in case, to ensure that we have a very nice flow. Yeah, do a little bit of load balancing here. Yeah. The main idea about getting stuff into your factory really is not load balancing like I've done it here. It is always about just having enough. The 2 things which drive your build are how much can the conveyor belt handle, and do we have enough resources. That means mostly it is sufficient with when you have enough resources and the conveyor belt can deal with it for just one line, as you have it here for my assemblers. They then do the frames. It's quite a bit. Quick connect, all in one line. That has a drop. And with that, we have already another layer on top, so the building is growing. Of course, modular frames, again, want lots of iron rods, so I have to place some on top to feed it all in. A little nice facade after the job's done. And again, I like very much the upside down mod for the roof works. Very nice. I hope that even in real life in future we may see more green roofs on industrial buildings. Especially having in mind our industrial buildings of nowadays, which are usually quite flat. So it would be lovely to have a bit more green on that, maybe even connected to the ground so that wildlife has a chance. Wouldn't that be sweet? But yeah, I know companies are there for profit, so it would require a little bit of action by lawmakers to push that through. And not just in small nations, but in bigger markets. Yeah, I like how the building comes out. The truck station's in, the road goes through. Minimum amount of light, that's cool. Works full swing, I like it. And yeah, I always prefer to go on external stairs because, hey, once we have our jetpack and we fly around, it's quicker to get into a building on the matching level by just jumping on the matching level on the stairs. So having some complicated stairs inside the building makes it a bit more complicated if you jump from one building to another with a jetpack. Yeah, the assembler line looks quite nice. Heaps of space here. Minimum amount of lights again. I really like the outcome. And let's have a look on the top. They experimented with having a ring of glass around it, giving a bit more light in, and used then the simple columns because it had the space to support the roof structure a bit more. And I like the outcome. Not too bad. It's not over fancy. So if you watch Satisfactory builds on YouTube, you will see many which are doing extremely fancy buildings with foundations used for depth in the building. But look on how we build industrial building nowadays. In our days, if you look on any industrial building, they try to be as flat and as straight as possible because that's the cheapest way to build. Cheers and goodbye.